So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for today's session on transportation, fixed route, and mobility. My name is Todd Herman. I lead development for the Bobby Dodd Institute. And we have a wonderful lineup today they'll all provide excellent content, all about transportation. As you can see, we have a varied group that is going to share some insights, but I will encourage everyone to send in any questions via the chat box. But to start off with, I wanted to go ahead and just mention our fantastic sponsors and the fact that we're so grateful for their assistance and support of the Igniting the Inclusive Workforce series. So thank you to Atlanta Foundation, as well as Disability In of Greater Atlanta. Georgia Tech Excel program is also a strong supporter of ours, as is the Georgia Tech Institute for Leadership and Social Impact. So we thank them tremendously for their help in keeping this incredible series going. To introduce our presenters for today, we have a couple folks from MARTA. So Roosevelt Stripling is a 25-year veteran of the public transportation industry. He currently serves as the Mobility Support Service Program Manager for MARTA. And at MARTA, he leads the agency's paratransit eligibility certification process, the paratransit reservations, and travel training programs. And also from MARTA is Jessalyn Smiley Clark, who has been in the field of disability services since 1994 and has spent the bulk of her career in the higher education arena. Now, she's been with MARTA for a little over a year and a half as their travel trainer, which allows her the opportunity to incorporate the passions for teaching and helping people achieve their goals. And we're also joined today by Tara Jackson, who is a native Atlantan and works at GDOT, so the Georgia Department of Transportation, and she serves as the Equal Employment Opportunity and ADA Specialist. And then finally, last but not least, we have Jordan Hall. Now, Jordan is the Mobility Coordinator for the Statewide Independent Living Council of Georgia, and she works closely with various agencies and organizations, as well as the legislature, to help develop effective and efficient policy directed towards Georgians with disabilities. You all also notice a couple of other windows or slides of people on the screen. So we have our sign language interpreter, as well as the session is being closed captioned. So with that, I will turn things over to Roosevelt and allow him an opportunity to share his presentation with everybody. Just give me a moment, Roosevelt, and I will I'll give you the ball here. So thank you so much, and take it away.
Thank you, Katie, and thank you, Todd. Good afternoon, and thank you for that warm introduction. My colleague Jessalyn and I are pleased to represent the Metropolitan Atlanta Rapid Transit Authority and our nearly 5,000 team members, and to present to you information about MARTA and how we support an inclusive workforce in Metro Atlanta. And so without further ado, let's begin with our presentation. Who are we? We are the 12th largest public transit agency in the U.S., providing service in the city of Atlanta, DeKalb, Fulton, and Clayton counties. We are a multimodal system offering bus, rail, streetcar, and ADA paratransit lift van service. And prior to COVID, we averaged 500,000 weekday boardings across all of our modes of transportation. I know we do not provide direct service into Cobb or Gwinnett County. However, as our regional partners and through reciprocal agreements, customers can initiate payment on one system and have a free transfer to the other agency and travel within their respective service areas. Also, there is the Georgia Regional Transportation Authority, GDOT, which provides express route service within the 13 counties of the metropolitan Atlanta area. The community can engage MARTA and provide feedback on our services and routes, make service requests, and make complaints through our customer service center. As a public agency, everything that we do is centered around our riders. We talk more in a moment about this process when we get to the accessibility piece and our service planning process. However, in general, customers, community groups, and business entities can engage MARTA through our customer service center, community and external affairs group, community outreach, and the diversity and inclusion office. And as it relates to the diversity and inclusion office, that particular group is responsible for facilitating our MARTA Accessibility Committee. And this particular committee was established to bring awareness to the transportation needs of seniors and persons with disabilities to us at MARTA. And they meet monthly as individual committees and bi-monthly as a group that offers public feedback. Next, we'd like to share some information with you before we get into the rest of the presentation about our COVID process. How are we making sure that you as our customers are safe? We're concerned about your safety, about the safety of our employees and all of our customers. We have been diligent in monitoring all related activities, information from the CDC, from the Georgia Department of Public Health, and this video that we're about to share with you, and my teammate Jessalyn will narrate that.
Hi everyone. The video we're about to play shows how MARTA is implementing the guidelines set forth by the CDC and appropriate public health authorities regarding COVID-19. The video has background music with text superimposed over images of MARTA employees carrying out our COVID-19 safety measures. Keeping you safe, MARTA. And we're showing the masks that are required for employees and passengers, and those are being provided by MARTA employees to our customers. They distribute those masks for free at the stations. There are mask dispensers in front of the bus, in front of our buses. We're encouraging social distancing. We have signs letting you know that we are where to sit on the buses, signs letting you know if the bus is full and that another one is en route. There are bus operator shields to ensure front door boarding safety, extra buses on core routes for additional capacity to ensure social distancing. We have an air filtering system that is antimicrobial for our buses. And there's frequent cleaning by hand and with electrostatic sprayers of our trains, buses, and stations. And we're showing that they're cleaning the high touch areas in the stations, both with the electrostatic cleaners and by hand. We are doing all of these things and more to help keep our riders and our employees safe as they're riding.
Thank you, Jessalyn. Now, as previously stated, MARTA service is designed to fit the needs of the community and the riders that we serve. Our service is based on an analysis of continuous feedback that we receive from our customers. We have in-person and telephonic surveys, community input from outreach events and public forums. And we know that all new routes, route changes, or eliminations will impact how our customers get to work, how they get to school, medical appointments, how they just live their lives on a daily basis. And with that in mind, any permanent changes to our routing system will require public feedback and input. and we give customers the opportunity to make recommendations and suggestions. That information is taken back, synthesized, and final recommendations made to our board of directors, who are responsible for making the final approval for any changes. The safety of our customers, employees, and the safe operations of our vehicles is paramount in planning process for the placement of bus shelters and bus stops. All new stops and shelters are placed in ADA compliant locations or on solid surfaces. And where appropriate, adjustments are made to relocate stops to newly accessible locations when accessibility improvements have been performed by the local jurisdictions or different developers. And if a customer raises an accessibility issue at a specific stop, we will coordinate with the appropriate local jurisdiction, and we will alert that appropriate responsible party and try to influence them to fix it in a hurry, as well as provide feedback to the customer. Are we accessible? Yes, we are. We are 100% accessible. All of our buses have low curb floors that kneel to the curb. Additionally, these buses have ramps that flip over either automatically or by manual deployment. All of our trains, individual stations, and rail platforms are accessible. They have ramps, elevators, or escalators, tactile strips near the platform edges, visual and audio announcements, and intercoms that go directly to the operator. And priority seating for the elderly and persons with disability are available on all of our vehicles. Service animals are welcome on board MARTA. The DOT recognizes service animals as animals that are individually trained to work or perform tasks. And although the operator cannot ask for any documentation, they can, however, ask the following questions regarding the service animal. Number one, the operator can ask, is the animal a service animal that is required because of a disability? And they may also ask, what work or task has the animal been trained to perform? The service animal must remain with and under the control of the rider at all times. However, the rider is not required to sit in any designated seating area. We're also undergoing a major renovation and rehabilitation of all of our elevators and escalators. Now, the purpose of this rehabilitation program is to increase the reliability and the ease of use of these vertical transportation systems for our customers. And we're about 40% complete on our elevators and 22% complete on our escalators. The operators on board the bus and train will make announcements of the approaching stations with any down escalators or elevators. However, notices are available on in-station signage. Customers can sign up to receive text alerts through our website, and they can check for those alerts on the website directly themselves, or they can go to our on-the-go MARTA app.
Hi, Roosevelt. This is
Yes.
Jordan here.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
just wanted to ask if an individual wanted to sign up for the text alerts, where specifically would they go on the website to do so?
What they can do, log onto the website, and from the home page, there's a tab that indicates alerts, sign up for alerts. You click on that, or you can click on any of the, across the top of the home page, there's individuals for rail alerts, bus alerts, streetcar alerts, and you can click on any one of those. They'll also take you to the list of alerts, and there's a link on that page for sign up. And you can click on that and follow the instructions to sign up for the alerts.
Okay, great. Thank you. And then something else I think that is worth noting is that the only two animals that are considered service animals in the state of Georgia legally are dogs and miniature horses.
That is correct. Thank you, Jordan, for sharing that. That is correct. Thank you for adding that. And as we talk more about accessibility and our accessibility programs, my colleague Jessalyn will share some additional information.
Hey, Roosevelt, I did have a quick question just
Sure.
on the elevator and escalator rehab. I was
Yes, sir.
curious what the timeline was on completion, and if there were certain areas of the MARTA scope that were being focused on before others, or was it geographical, or is it just what constitutes something getting priority? And once again, just the timeline on completion. Can you do any additional info?
Give a moment on the timeline. Justin can pull that information up for us. But regarding the plan for the elevator and escalator downage, my understanding from the folks in our capital programs group and vertical transportation group, essentially stations, and they try to spread it out so that you don't have back-to-back stations that'll have escalators or elevators down, and they're typically working one or set on a line, on the north red line or the gold line, etc. So they're not all bunched up together, and so that way, when one of the things that we do offer is that if you receive the announcement from the operator, and the part of that announcement and the announcement that you receive in the text and also online will indicate to you if that station has the availability for you to cross over the platform. It's the center platform. Just walk over to the other side and go up an escalator or an elevator, or if you would need to ride to the next station in order to catch a train coming back, and you'll be on the opposite side. Or it may offer you the opportunity where you would need to exit the Fairgate area, let one of the station attendants know, or pick up the customer assist phone, call our mobility office for a shuttle, and the shuttle which is close by, will pick you up and either take you to the other side of the station, depending upon the individual station, or it will take you to the next station that is down. And this is what we have in place for all of our planned down outages, when we're going to have an elevator, escalator out, and it's also available in cases of emergency when, for whatever reason, a particular system is down.
And Roosevelt, the rider that would use the mobility shuttle due to an elevator outage would not be charged for that mobility trip.
That is correct. Thank you, Jordan. That is correct.
Thank you.
And the elevator and escalator rehab project started in June of 2017 and is scheduled to be completed in November of 2026.
And there's a lot of elevators and escalators on our system.
It sounds weird saying 2026.
Yes, it does. Thank you, Todd.
Thank you.
Okay, accessible services, Jessalyn.
We offer 2 accessible services that are designed to make MARTA Transit a system that everyone can use. Our mobility service provides ADA complimentary paratransit service to anyone unable to ride or disembark from our regular MARTA transit services. Riders must have a MARTA Mobility Photo ID Breeze card to be able to request and board our MARTA Mobility buses. Riders are also able to use their Mobility Breeze card to ride our fixed routes, that's our regular bus and train service, for free. We also offer reduced fare Breeze cards to eligible senior citizens and people with disabilities and Medicare cardholders, and they're able to ride the regular routes, the fixed routes, the bus and train system at a reduced rate.
Hi, Jessalyn. I just wanted to clarify too that if an individual is deemed eligible for paratransit, their rides on the regular bus and rail are at no cost to them.
Correct, free.
That is correct.
Yes, thank you.
So travel training can teach you how to get back and forth from your work location using MARTA. In one-on-one training, I'll teach you your path of travel that you would use, general safety tips to be mindful of when you're traveling, and basic wayfinding and landmarking skills. Map and schedule reading, Breeze cards, MARTA apps, and so much more are included in those sessions for you. One-on-one training is tailored to your specific needs and public transit skill. We also offer small group trainings that provide an overview of the skills you'd need to begin exploring Atlanta using MARTA. Small group trainings are classroom-based, but do have the option of taking a trip on the system, while one-on-one training occurs 90% of the time across on the system. So group trainings will be more classroom-based with the option for a trip out onto the system, and one-on-one trainings will spend a bulk of our time, approximately 90% of our time in training, actually engaging the system. If you have any questions about that process, just let us know.
And so that concludes our brief presentation on who we are and the services that we provide to make sure that our services are accessible to all of our customers. You have Jessalyn and my contact information on screen, and understanding that a copy of the presentation will be provided afterwards to all attendees. So thank you.
Thank you, Roosevelt and Jessalyn, for that. Very, very informative. And at this point, we will go ahead and switch over to Tara, who will share with us a little bit from the perspective of GDOT. Take it away, Tara. And you are currently on mute, so you can.
Okay, thank you, Todd. I really appreciate this. Let me just pull up my sharing of my screen. Okay, here we are. Okay, here we go. Now, thank you again, Todd, for the introduction, and thank you, Dodd Institute, for allowing me to come and speak today on the Georgia Department of Transportation, better known as GDOT, and how we work with ADA. Get my mouse in the right place here. Okay. First of all, let's talk about what is the Georgia Department of Transportation. For many things, it's just about road work, but actually, the Georgia Department of Transportation plans, designs, constructs, maintains, and improves the state's roads, bridges, and interstate highways, and provides planning and financial support for other modes of transportation, including rail, transit, general aviation, and bicycle and pedestrian programs. The department is also involved in waterways, including Savannah and Brunswick ports and Intracoastal Waterway, and we are led by Commissioner Russell R. McMurray. And just to let you know, this is just our general information. We do so much more that we don't have time for in this presentation, but if you want to learn more about all that GDOT does, you can actually find us on the website, and I will provide that website link later on in the presentation. So the next question is truly, how does GDOT apply the ADA policy? Here you can have, and it is listed on our website, of what GDOT actually does to support the ADA and the Office of Equal Employment Opportunity. So this is what you will find, but I'm going to just give you the smaller version, the first paragraph, so you can see exactly what we provide with the ADA. It says Georgia DOT will ensure that no qualified disabled individual shall solely on the basis of his or her disability be excluded from the participation in, be denied the benefits of, or be subjected to discrimination under any of its programs, services, or activities provided by Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973 and the Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990. So again, this information is provided on our website. You can pull it up at any time. But really, what does that truly mean? What is GDOT doing to support the ADA? Okay. Well, what our responsibilities are with ADA is we act as a liaison between local governments and the federal highway. We investigate ADA complaints throughout the state of Georgia, which means I investigate. I'm the one that goes out when people call and say, hey, we have a complaint of discrimination. We have our roadways are not fixed. So I actually go out all over the state of Georgia and kind of take care of those for GDOT. We also have oversight of installation or improvements of accessibility features of what's called PRO or public roadways rights of work and address the different barriers. And we're actually going to cover.
Oh, I was just gonna ask, how can a rider know that their complaint has been received?
Well, if they go through the GDOT website and fill out the form and send it, they come to me, I'll assign a case number to it. So if they want to follow up, they can give the case number or the name, and we can pull it up. And if a case comes to me or a complaint comes to me and it's not specifically GDOT's area, I will still do a case number for it, and I will still pass it on to the local county or city that is responsible for any complaints that they will take care of. And then I will also give that information to the person who actually called in or wrote in about the issue. And I will follow up with them, even though they may not be one where I personally with GDOT will work on it, but I will ensure that they are working with the right person and that they are getting their information covered.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so again, let's talk about the public right-of-way, which is next. The public right-of-way, you may see this, especially if you come to our website, it is the network of streets and sidewalks creating public pedestrian access without a public entity's jurisdictional limits, which means anyone has a right to walk down a sidewalk. Everyone has a right to get from point A to point B without any type of barriers. So if we can, let me see if I can do this right. There's a clip, ADA is celebrating 30 years. So there's a little clip and it gives you a little insight as to what right-of-ways look like. Let's see if we can get this going here. And it's going to be only about a 15-second video. There we are, sorry.
So Tara, while that is uploading, we did have a question regarding sidewalk repair and especially concerning the responsibility and who that falls to in terms of sidewalk repair near a building. What law kind of outlines that responsibility?
It depends on who actually is, basically who's responsible for that street is responsible for the sidewalk. So if it's a city of Atlanta streets, they are responsible for the sidewalks, even access to the buildings. They are responsible for, like I say, if a complaint comes to me about a sidewalk that needs to be repaired, I'll look at it, I'll figure out who actually is responsible for it, and I will alert them. I get a lot of complaints. I have the city of Atlanta, I've gone out to Covington, I've gone down to, as far as where else have I been, Augusta, to look at issues. And then sometimes I realize part of it may be ours, part of it may be that city, and we will work with that city for that complaint. Like, again, I will follow up with the customer or the person who's making the complaint and let them know, hey, I've investigated. Thank you for the call. It is actually the city's responsibility. This is the person that I've talked to that will be working on it with me to make sure that the issue is resolved. Not saying it's going to be resolved right away, but they know that it needs something that needs to be repaired. Can everyone see the video? Am I good or?
It doesn't look like it's loading on my end.
Okay.
Thank you for answering the question.
Okay, so
for sending it in.
All right. Is that better? Can we see that? I'm not sure. I was trying to make sure I did it earlier. And
would frequently tell him he couldn't do it.
Everybody give me thumbs up if they cannot see. Let me see.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's coming over.
I was trying to do it earlier and I did and don't know what happened. And it would be a part of the video of the presentation. If someone wants to go back to see it, I do apologize for it. I never could get it to come up right. But it's just showing.
You can send it out afterwards. But in the meantime, another question came in.
Okay, go ahead.
And this one asks, can any citizen report a problem or only an end user?
Any citizen can report a problem. I've had people say, hey, I saw this on the street and I think it needs to be repaired, or the signal is not working at the crosswalks, or they just drove by and saw something that didn't look right. So anyone can make a complaint or call in something that needs to be repaired. So again, I will provide my information at the end, even if they don't know if it's a city or a county or a state area. If they bring it to me, I can make that determination. Okay. All right, so we're gonna move on. So the next one is barriers. This is the big one that's across the state of Georgia and pretty much probably across the country. What do we mean by barrier? A barrier is something that blocks or impedes your access. And if you can see through these pictures, all good intentions are okay, but it's still, if it's not gonna support it all the way, it's not gonna work. So if you look at the picture to the far left, you will see a gentleman. We have what's called curb cuts so that he has access to get to the street. But if you notice, there is no crosswalk for him to cross. So this crosswalks actually allow drivers to know that pedestrians may be crossing the street at any time. And if they don't see a crosswalk, they don't know that they may need to slow down when someone's in the middle of the street. And also, if you notice across the street on the other side, there's not another curb ramp. So he would have to go around in the middle of the street, maybe to find a curb ramp. And this is where we would get our citizens calling in, letting us know, hey, something's not right. This person doesn't have access to the other side of the street and there are no crosswalks. Another issue we have here, again, good intentions, we have where at the bottom right of your screen, where there is a person in a wheelchair going up a curb ramp, but as you can see, it's what's called a high slope. It's too high, and they can actually roll backwards. So they would need what's called truncated domes to stop them from rolling backwards, and better yet, it actually needs to be a lower slope so that no one has any accidents. And as you see up in the upper right corners, the two pictures up front, this is one investigations that I went out to. As you can see, they have the crosswalk, they have the signal signs, but you can push the signal button, but look at the bottom here, it's grass. So someone is in a wheelchair. If it is raining, they can get stuck in the grass. And then the other part is it's not near the corner where the crosswalk is. So they have to push the button, and roll down back to the crosswalk. And hopefully it's enough time for them to cross the street. And the other picture to the right is just another view of the way it looks like. It's too far from the sidewalk for someone to get to the crosswalk sign, okay? We're gonna look at a couple of more. And this was a construction, the two on the far left, they were constructions coming in to repair the street and the sidewalks. But if you look, they have the curb ramps. They just don't have the access to get to the street. It was like, okay, what's this? You have our truncated domes, but you don't have the curb cuts. And this one was worse because they have, again, the truncated domes. They don't have the curb cuts, but as a pedestrian just walking, that's a very high step off to get to the streets. So we had to talk to the cities like, your third-party vendors really did not do this area justice. So they are going to have to go back and redo all of this. And again, this is when we get citizens calling in, letting us know what they've seen out on the highways or the local streets. And again, we also work with MARTA, as Roosevelt and Jessalyn says, we work with them to make sure that their bus stops are ADA compliant. So here we have, I'll give you two examples. On the top, you will see where they have a shelter and it has a sidewalk and it has access. That's great. But if you look to the right of it, they have a shelter and it looks like they may be doing something with it. I'm not for sure, but right now, if you have a disability, you cannot get to that MARTA stop, as well as the ones on the bottom middle, where you have a sidewalk, so a person is able to stand away from the street so much, and can, if you're in a wheelchair, they have access to that MARTA stop. On the right, you see that the stop is very close to the street and it doesn't have a sidewalk available. So that makes it hard for someone who may be wheelchair accessible or maybe just needs assistance walking to get to that bus stop. And if it rains, it's really going to be muddy. So what we do is we get the information and then we pass it on to MARTA to let them know that someone is needing access to these stops that may be disabled. So they will have to go out and repair, because of course MARTA doesn't know, they can't make every stop accessible, but when we alert them to let them know that this area, they may need to make this area ADA accessible. Okay. Now, one of the things that we've seen and worked with the City of Atlanta on, it was a project called Roll a Mile in Our Wheels. This was something that was done back in October 2019, where a group of citizens decided they wanted to show the City of Atlanta what they need to do to combat these barriers and how they need to make legislation to make sure that the streets and sidewalks are safe for their pedestrians. So they put together called Roll a Mile in Our Shoes, where able-bodied people who are walking could actually ride in a wheelchair either on their own or have someone push them a mile down Peachtree. It was very interesting because there were so many barriers just on that 1 mile of Peachtree. And this was actually going to the Shepherd Center. And if you can see the people in the top, the ones sitting in the wheelchairs are actual able-bodied. They could actually walk, but they had to be in the wheelchairs. And they thought that it was very difficult to either try to maneuver the wheelchairs around the barriers or even just having to push someone through these sidewalks and on the street. They got a realization of what it was like on the other side. And here along the way, I took this picture. This actually happened. This woman she actually uses a wheelchair, and we come across the sidewalk, but there is this big split in the sidewalk and her wheel got stuck. And fortunately for her, there were people there to assist her to get her wheel unstuck. But can you think about if someone is riding down the street in a wheelchair and they get stuck and there's nobody there to assist them? It's nearly impossible for them to move. They could be sitting there for hours waiting on someone to come and assist them. And that's why it's very important, not only for GDOT, but for the community itself. We need to figure out, make sure that we are alerted when these barriers exist. So moving on, so as a GDOT employee who actually goes out and ensures that our streets and access to buildings, our parking lots are, ADA accessible, I look at the slope of the ramps. I have to measure this. I make sure our crosswalks have the truncated domes, have the curb cuts, have the crosswalk, the signals. Are the traffic signals, we can have them, but are they long enough for a person to get across the street, especially if they are visually impaired or they have wheelchairs or walkers? Do they have enough time to get across the street? We go out there and ensure that construction zones, not only are they keeping ADA accessible, but they have alternative routes. So if they're cutting up a sidewalk and someone needs to get to a store, they still have to ensure that that person who is disabled can get to the store or to a public buildings. That's one of the things we look at too as well. When I go out, if there is someone who is needing access or working in a public building, especially GDOT, we have to make sure they have access not only to the building, but inside the buildings with bathrooms and doorways. So we ensure that any buildings that, especially owned by GDOT or the public, that we get information on, that they are accessible internally as well as externally. Okay. Parking lots, shared use trails. We have to make sure people have access to parks. People don't think about it as like, oh, it's a park, it's grass. Well, everyone can't go on grass. So we have to make sure there is ways that someone who is disabled can also get great use out of a park. So that's one of the things that we look at. So we work with a lot of parks to do that as well. Okay. So I've said what GDOT can do. Now, how does the community get involved? And that's where a lot of all the information comes from, is from the community. Okay. How do citizens get involved? The first thing to do, you can go to our website, which is listed here at www.dot.ga.gov. And here you'll be able to find out where within your district, we have 7 districts in the state of Georgia. So on this website, you can look at a district and see what area you are, and you can find out what's going on in that district. And one of the things that we do is we have public outreach meetings. When there is construction going on in a certain district, we invite the public out to participate. We want to know what the public thinks about this. Is it impeding on something else that they're doing? They also need to say, hey, wait, we have this new building, you have a new building coming up. Is it going to be ADA accessible? We have maybe people who want to apply for jobs, people who need to get there. We have to let them know that, because sometimes, architects and designers, they may not think like that. So it's up to the public to let us know. And we really like public input on these roadways in the beginning, so that less money can be spent getting it done right the first time than having to go back the second time and making sure that it doesn't happen again. And also, I am the Georgia DOT ADA representative, but you also have local city and county ADA coordinators. So you can actually contact them if you see something locally on your street or in your area that you want to have a discussion about. They are the ones that you can contact. And if you can't find them, again, you can contact me and I'll find that ADA coordinator that's locally in your area.
Hi, Tara. Is there any way for individuals to also see all the transit options that GDOT has for them, such as 5309 buses, 5310s, and 5311s?
Everything that we have is on our website, and it does depend on which district it is. Again, we have 7 districts in the state of Georgia, so they can actually once they go to our website, and actually I pulled it up, so I had to look at it for our phone. You go to the website and you go to the About and scroll all the way down to the bottom, and it tells you GDOT districts, and you click on that, and the district, there's a map on that page, and it tells you what districts are. And then there is also a drop down, and you can go by your county, because that's how it's listed, by county. And if you go to county, it will take you to that district page, and you can get a lot of the information about your district from that site.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
You're very
Tara,
welcome.
I wanted to give Jordan an opportunity to share a few words with the audience before we run out of time, but we did get a question in. Want to make sure I have it correctly here. But a person wrote in that there's a van bus that doesn't pick up someone and drop them off at exact locations, just the nearest stops. And they have an example here, so hopefully it'll clarify. A person that uses a manual wheelchair for mobility will need to get to a traditional stop, get picked up, and then get dropped off at a designated stop. It's not like door-to-door pickup. And either you or even Roosevelt or Jessalyn might want to chime in on the question if I tried to phrase it the way that they wrote it.
I'll take a quick stab at it. Essentially, the way the mobility service works is that once a customer has been certified, mobility is a origin to destination service. And so we will pick you up at your point of origin and drop you off at your destination. The only limitations is that if it's unsafe for the vehicle to disembark in that particular location, or if if there's an overhang or the weight of the van is too heavy for that particular location. Other than that, point of origin to destination, we don't go up private driveways like to someone's home to your door, but we'll go to the bottom of the driveway or to within a subdivision or within an apartment complex to pick up the individual to take them to their point of destination.
Okay, great. Thank you, Roosevelt. And I know we're really out of time, but I wanted to provide an opportunity for Jordan just to share a few words as an end user and from the policy and advocacy perspective. So Jordan, if you had just a few comments to make, I'd love to give you the ball.
But, I see that more policy, but
We're having some trouble hearing you, Jordan.
Yeah, I'm sorry, speakers, if you aren't speaking, do you mind just going on mute? I think there's some feedback that might be. Thank you.
thank you so much. So we, as the Statewide Independent Living Council, are not the direct service providers. We mainly deal with the policy aspects, but something that people are usually unaware of is that there are 9 centers for independent living statewide that provide direct service for individuals in the aging and disability communities. And as Katie just pulled up, this is a map of all of our centers for independent living and the counties that are served. So you can out for independent living for resources that you may need or just community engagement within the disability community. And if there are any policies that you like to make us more aware of, specifically me, my role as the mobility coordinator, like Tara was emphasizing, mobility is so much more than just transportation. It's community access to buildings and everyone's right to a service animal, just anything that would impact them on their trip or arriving at their destination. My contact information will be provided as well. So please reach out to your local Center for Independent Living and feel free to contact me if you have any questions.
Thank you so much, Jordan. And thank you to everyone, Roosevelt, Jessalyn, Tara, our sign language interpreter, as well as our closed captioner, and a special thank you to our project manager for the Igniting the Inclusive Workforce series. That's Katie Russo. You heard from her earlier. I just wanted to share with everyone before we left here that we've got I think this is number 5, might be number 6 in the series, but we're taking a small break from now until after the new year. But our next session is going to be on January 20th, and then, as you can see, we have a schedule of sessions bringing us right through up until our live event in October. So we encourage you to absolutely join us for all of those, and that schedule is available either on the BDI website or once you sign up for one, you kind of get notifications for all of them. So we absolutely look forward to seeing you all again. And in the meantime, feel free to connect with us as well via the different channels and any social media outlets as well. And until then, thank you once again, and have a wonderful conclusion to the holiday season. And make sure, if you haven't already, to make a donation. It is Giving Tuesday, And there are a lot of great nonprofits out there doing wonderful work. So thank you all. Have a great rest of your day. We really appreciate your time today. Bye-bye.
Bye, thank you.